The amount of pleasure you are able to allow may say more about your capacity for abundance than you think. Not the shallow kind of pleasure that distracts you for a moment and leaves you emptier afterward. I am speaking of the deeper current underneath the body, the life force that moves through desire, sensation, creativity, courage, intimacy, and money itself. Inside the body, there is a hidden river most people were never taught to trust. It runs through the lower belly, the pelvis, the breath, and the places where we learned to tighten before we learned to feel. It is the same current that makes us create, choose, reach, love, risk, build, and begin again. For many people, that current has been shamed, silenced, or pushed underground. Sexual energy was treated as something dangerous, dirty, excessive, or embarrassing. Pleasure became something to control. Desire became something to hide. The body became a place to manage, rather than a place to listen to. And when that happens, something larger closes too. A body that cannot receive pleasure often struggles to receive money. Not because pleasure and money are the same thing, but because both require an open channel. Both ask whether you can allow life to move through you, without immediately contracting, apologizing, controlling, or shutting down. True abundance is not only a matter of logic. It is not merely discipline, strategy, or hard work. It also depends on whether the body is willing to become a vessel for more life, more sensation, more love, more creative force, more receiving. When you meet the body with sacred awareness instead of shame, the body becomes a doorway. And through that doorway, life begins to remember how to give. This is Momentum Arc, a space for inner exploration and spiritual growth. Your likes, subscriptions, and super thanks do more than support this work. They help this energy reach more souls who are ready for real change. David Deida is an American writer and teacher known for his work on spiritual practice, intimate polarity, and the relationship between the body, love, and awareness. His book, The Way of the Superior Man, published in 1997, became one of his most influential works because it brought together sexuality, purpose, devotion, and spiritual growth in a way that many people had never heard before. At the center of his work is a simple but powerful understanding. Sexual energy is not merely biological. It is not only about physical attraction or reproduction. It is a form of life force. When it is conscious, open, and integrated, it supports purpose, presence, creativity, and a deeper capacity to meet life directly. This matters because money, too, is not only a number. It is movement. It is exchange. It is response. It gathers where there is vitality, coherence, trust, and the ability to hold energy without collapsing under it. From this perspective, the real source of money does not lie only in what you do. It also lies in the state from which you do it. Are you contracted, defensive, ashamed, and closed? Or are you available to life, able to feel, able to receive, able to let energy move through you without fear? Deida's teaching points toward a body-based truth. Abundance flows more easily through a person whose life force is not locked away. If the lower body is tight, if the breath is shallow, if intimacy feels unsafe, if desire is treated like a problem, then the system may also resist other forms of receiving. Money is sensitive to state. It does not only respond to effort, it responds to the field around effort. A person can work hard and still feel closed. Another person can act with clarity, depth, and openness, and somehow life begins to answer differently. The difference is not luck alone. It is the difference between pushing from contraction and creating from flow. Abundance is not a contest of willpower. It is a test of capacity. How much energy can pass through you before you tighten? How much pleasure can you allow before guilt appears? How much goodness can enter before your body starts looking for a reason to refuse it? The more life you can allow, the more life can move toward you. Modern culture has rarely taught people how to live peacefully inside the body. Around sexuality, this is especially clear. In many families, schools, religions, and social systems, sexual energy was treated as something to suppress, hide, fear, or control. The result is not only sexual confusion, it is a deeper bodily contraction. When a person grows up associating pleasure with shame, the body learns to protect itself. The pelvis tightens, the lower belly hardens, the breath becomes shallow, the shoulders brace. The nervous system stays alert, as if something natural inside the body is still being watched, judged, or punished. These are not just physical habits. They are records of defense. A body in defense sends a message to life. I am not safe. I cannot receive more. I must protect what little I have. That state does not create a welcoming field for abundance. It creates a narrow one. Money, like water, prefers movement. It does not easily enter a system built like a fortress. It does not feel natural in a body that meets receiving with suspicion. You may build excellent plans, study finance, set goals, and push yourself harder. But if the deeper system remains closed, life will keep meeting a locked gate. This is why more effort is not always the answer. Sometimes the next step is not to become stronger, but to become less defended. To soften does not mean to become weak. It means the body no longer has to live as if every form of intensity is danger. It means the breath can move again. It means the pelvis, the heart, the throat, and the belly can begin speaking to each other instead of holding separate wars. When sexual energy is suppressed, creativity is often suppressed with it. Desire becomes muted. Risk becomes frightening. Decision-making becomes dry and over-controlled. Life loses some of its color, and money, which follows movement and value, may stop arriving as a living current and become something cold, mechanical, and difficult to hold. The body is not an obstacle to abundance. It is one of abundance's entrances. If that entrance closes, the world may still be offering, but the system inside you may not know how to let it in. Ancient traditions often understood desire in a far more sacred way than modern culture does. In older Indian wisdom, desire was not simply a temptation to be feared. It was connected to creation itself, a creative fire, a primal movement, the first stirring that causes life to take form. This does not mean desire should be indulged blindly. It means desire should be met consciously. The chakra system also points to this understanding. Life energy rises from the base of the body and moves upward through the centers of survival, sexuality, power, love, expression, insight, and spiritual opening. The lower centers are not mistakes to escape. They are foundations to awaken. Sexual energy, when conscious, becomes more than a private impulse. It becomes part of the bridge between the body and the soul. It carries the warmth of life upward. It feeds courage, creativity, intimacy, and the ability to act from vitality rather than fear. Even modern neuroscience gives us a doorway into this idea. In moments of deep pleasure, bonding, and emotional openness, the brain and body release powerful chemistry connected with motivation, attachment, well-being, and integration. Pleasure, when held with awareness, can make the system more alive, more connected, and more capable of creative movement. This is why a person whose sexual energy is flowing may feel more daring, more intuitive, more magnetic, more available to life. Choices no longer come only from survival. They begin to come from expansion. In money, this changes everything. A closed body makes financial decisions from fear. What if I lose? What if I am not safe? What if I am punished for wanting more? An awakened body asks a different question. What wants to move through me now? What kind of life is asking to be created? That shift does not make a person reckless. It makes a person more alive. And aliveness is not separate from abundance. It is one of its deepest conditions. When energy can rise from the source without shame, the body becomes less fragmented. Desire no longer pulls you downward into secrecy or guilt. It begins to support a fuller, clearer participation in life. Real awakening is not simply understanding pleasure. It is learning how to let pleasure become a doorway into deeper awareness. Many people experience pleasure only as release, a peak, an escape, a moment of intensity followed by collapse or emptiness. But in a spiritual body, pleasure can become something else. It can become presence. The body is a sensor. In intimacy, meditation, movement, breath, or stillness, you may feel a current move through the spine, chest, hands, legs, or belly. That current is not something to fear. It is life force becoming perceptible. At that moment, there are two possible paths. One is unconscious release. The energy rises and quickly disappears. The other is conscious containment. You breathe, stay present, allow the sensation to spread, and let awareness hold what the body is feeling. Transformation does not come from suppressing pleasure. It comes from refining it. Instead of letting the energy stop at the pelvis, you allow it to rise through the heart, the throat, the head, and the whole field of your body. The more present you remain, the more that energy begins to reveal its deeper intelligence. It may become creativity. It may become courage. It may become tenderness. It may become vision. It may become the willingness to meet life without shrinking. In this sense, pleasure is not the destination. It is a threshold. When you can remain open inside intensity, you train the body to receive without panic. That ability matters far beyond intimacy. It affects how you receive opportunity, praise, responsibility, visibility, love, and money. Many people say they want more, but the moment more begins to arrive, the body contracts. It becomes too much, too visible, too alive, too unfamiliar. Learning to stay conscious inside pleasure teaches the nervous system a different lesson. Life can expand, and I do not have to close. That is where abundance begins to feel possible. Not as an abstract belief, but as a bodily capacity. Pleasure is a door. When you walk through it with awareness, you begin to understand that the source of wealth, love, inspiration, and freedom is not outside the body. It has been waiting inside the places you were taught to abandon. Whether you are in a relationship or not, the practice begins with intimacy. Not necessarily with another person, but with the body and soul themselves. If you are alone, this work becomes a conversation with your own life force. Can you breathe into the body without judging it? Can you feel desire without immediately turning it into shame or fantasy? Can you listen to the lower belly, the pelvis, the heart, and the breath as if they were part of one living intelligence? If you are with a partner, the practice becomes a field of shared awareness. Not performance, not conquest, not using another person to escape yourself, but meeting another human being in presence, freedom, and respect. One simple practice is silent eye contact. Sit facing each other. Breathe slowly. Let the eyes soften. Do not speak. Do not rush to create a result. Let energy circulate naturally between two bodies that are willing to be present. This kind of contact changes the meaning of intimacy. It is no longer only about pursuing physical release. It becomes the meeting of two energy rivers, two nervous systems learning how to trust, two souls practicing how to remain open without taking possession of each other. Another practice is open acceptance. Instead of seeing your partner as someone to control, complete, manage, or own, you begin to recognize the freedom of their soul. Deida often points toward this kind of depth in love. Real intimacy is not built from control. It is built from presence, polarity, trust, and the willingness to meet what is true. When possessiveness softens, relationship stops being a battlefield and begins becoming a temple for energy to move through. This does not mean emotional distance. It means a deeper form of trust. You are no longer trying to dominate the other person's body, mood, or choices. You are learning to meet them as a free being. You can also practice soul mirroring. Sit quietly, breathe together. Close the eyes for a moment, then open them and look at each other without trying to fix anything. Inwardly say, I allow you to be you. I allow myself to be truly myself. This may sound simple, but it can bring hidden emotions to the surface, especially shame around sex, love, and money. Many people discover that beneath desire is not only passion, but fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of wanting too much. Fear of not being enough. Fear that pleasure, love, and prosperity must somehow be earned through suffering. That is why the next doorway is shame. In the exploration of energy, sooner or later we meet an invisible wall. It does not always feel dramatic. It may not feel like fear or sadness. It can feel quieter than that. A sudden numbness, a contraction in the belly, a difficulty receiving love, a discomfort with desire, a strange resistance when money begins to come closer. That wall is shame. Shame is one of the most powerful locks on the body. It is woven through family history, cultural conditioning, religious messaging, and personal memory. And around sex and money, it often becomes especially tight. Many people were taught, directly or indirectly, that desire is dangerous, that wanting is selfish, that pleasure is suspicious, and that money is somehow dirty. These messages settle into the body. They do not remain ideas. They become posture, breath, tone, inhibition, and contraction. To open the channel of money, many people think they need only better methods, better systems, better discipline. But sometimes the real door is hidden behind whether they are willing to face the shame that has sealed their capacity to receive. The first step is to name it. Bring language to what was never allowed to be spoken. Write down the moments of embarrassment, confusion, fear, or guilt that still live in the body. Speak them privately, or speak them in a safe field with someone trustworthy. Language becomes a release ritual. When shame is named, it begins to lose its power as a shadow. The second step is body awareness. Through touch, breath, slow movement, warm water, or simple stillness, let the body feel safety again. Shame often lives in muscle memory. Healing begins when the body experiences being received without judgment. The third step is self-forgiveness. Tell yourself, I have desire. I want love. I want money. I want pleasure. None of this makes me wrong. None of this makes me unworthy. These desires are part of being alive. That inner permission can change the entire field. Because shame does not only block pleasure, it freezes the ability to receive love, attention, prosperity, visibility, and support. It turns life into something we are allowed to serve, but not fully receive from. When shame begins to unlock, the body no longer has to guard the doorway. Sexual energy can move. Creative energy can move. Money can move. The same river begins flowing through different names. The moment you stop treating desire as a crime, abundance starts to feel less like something you have to steal from life and more like something you are allowed to meet. When the lock of shame begins to open, we can finally see intimacy in a different way. Not as something to hide, not as something to consume, not as something separate from spiritual life, but as one of the places where the soul learns how to open. Sexual energy, in its deepest form, is not merely physical. It is the meeting point of trust, freedom, sensation, devotion, and life force. It is where the body says yes to being alive. And that yes is not separate from money, creativity, or abundance. Money is not only a cold number on a screen. It is a response, a movement, a living exchange between inner state and outer world. It shares a river with love, inspiration, creativity, courage, and desire. The direction of that river changes according to how open or closed we are inside. When you open sexual energy consciously, you also open the door to other forms of flow. Not because sex magically creates money, but because the body learns how to receive intensity without closing. It learns how to let goodness move without shame. It learns how to stop refusing the very life it has been asking for. Abundance is the natural pulse of life. It is not only an external reward, it is proof that you are no longer fighting the current of your own being. When you allow pleasure, you are practicing a deeper permission. Permission to want, to receive, to be nourished, to be touched by life. To stop proving your worth through exhaustion. You are saying yes to a larger current. At that point, pleasure is no longer just a sensation. It becomes a vow to life. I am willing. I am willing to receive what I once could not hold. I am willing to admit that I desire, that I am worthy, that I am open. I no longer need to use struggle as proof of value. From there, life begins to feel less like a battle and more like a movement. Money stops being only something to chase. It becomes something that can dance with your state of being. You are no longer the anxious person calculating every cost and return from a place of fear. You become a creator standing in love, trust, and vitality. No more fear. No more shrinking. No more wondering whether you are allowed to receive. You stand in the center of love, open your hands, and let the world answer you with everything it has been waiting to give. When love, freedom, and conscious pleasure are allowed to move through the whole body, money can answer too. Because it has been waiting for the same thing life has always been waiting for: your deeper opening.